The Red Dress Case, Chapter 6, Smoke and Mirrors. The bouncer's eyes stayed on me like a pair of brass knuckles ready to swing. But the dame's whisper opened doors, and that's how Chicago worked. The velvet curtain brushed my shoulders as I stepped inside. Smoke hit me first, heavy as a backroom deal gone sour. The joint was packed, wall to wall with shadows in sharp suits and dames dripping fake pearls. The band on stage hammered out hot jazz trumpet slicing through the haze. A singer leaned into the mic, dress cut, scandalous low, voice sweet as sin. Men forgot their wives with every note she sang. Tables gleamed under weak lamplight, glasses sweating gin and rye. The air carried perfume, sweat, and the faint temps of gun oil if you knew what to sniff for. Waiters in white jackets weaved through like ghosts with trays. Every eye darted, but most looked away too quick. I slid to the bar, hat low, coat heavy with rain and secrets. The barkeep was thick-necked, sleeves rolled, polishing glasses that would never shine. He gave me a look that said, "Trouble walks." I gave him one back that said, "Pour." The rye burned clean down my throat, steadied the beat of the city pounding in my ears. I studied the crowd in the mirror behind the bottles. Men leaned close, lips tight, passing whispers like currency. A few looked at me too long, and that was enough to mark 'em. The dame in red reappeared, hips swaying like a metronome, set to heartbreak. She brushed past, perfume a-trailing, eyes catching mine for half a beat. There was promise there, or maybe just danger dressed pretty. Either way, I followed. She slid into a booth in the corner, cigarette already burning between painted nails. Her smile was sharp, the kind that could cut a man wide open. "Buy a girl a drink, Morgan?" She purred like she already knew my name. I signaled the barkeep and slid in across from her. The booth smelled of smoke and roses pressed between pages. "You seem to know me," I said, voice flat, eyes steady. "That saves me introductions, but not suspicion." She laughed low, a sound that curled in the ear like a secret. "Suspicion keeps you alive, but don't worry, I like my men cautious." Her drink arrived gin. Straight, no nonsense. She raised it, eyes never leaving mine. Before I could ask the first question, movement at the door caught my eye. Two men in pinstripes slipped inside, fedoras low, jaws like anvils. Mob muscle, the kind that never smiled unless bones cracked. They scanned the room slow, hunting. The dame noticed too. Her hand trembled just enough to ripple the gin. "You weren't followed here, were you?" she whispered, urgency under her lipstick. I didn't answer right away. I had a feeling she already knew the truth. The band kept playing, but the tune turned sour in my ears. The mob boys split up, one heading toward the bar, the other working the crowd. Their eyes cut corners sharp, looking for someone with a price on his head. My money said it was me. "Stay put," I told her, sliding out of the booth. Her hand caught my wrist, cold and tight. "Don't be a hero," she hissed. "Heroes don't last long in this town." I gave her a half smile. "Oh, good thing I ain't one." I drifted into the crowd, shoulders brushing strangers who didn't want the contact. Sweat pricked the back of my neck as I moved toward the shadows. In the mirror over the bar, I caught one bruiser tailing me, slow and steady. The hunt was on. I ducked through a door marked private, slipping into a hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. The music dimmed, replaced by the hum of silence and far-off pipes. My shoes echoed, telling anyone listening exactly where I stood. I hated that. Behind me, the door creaked open. Heavy footsteps followed, dragging confidence like a chain. I palmed the Colt in my pocket, thumb brushing the steel like an old friend. This was about to get noisy. A shadow stretched along the wall, big and ugly. Fedora sharp at the edges, the bruiser's breath wheezed. Too many cigars and not enough conscience. He muttered something in Italian, words meant for my funeral. I waited until he rounded the corner. My fist came up first, steel behind the knuckles. His jaw cracked like a bad promise. He swung wild, but the Colt pressed his ribs before he could land. His eyes went wide, shock killing the fight in him. "Who sent you?" I growled, voice low as the pipes. Blood dripped from his lip, staining his tie. He spat and muttered, "Romano." That name stank like rotting meat. It was Marb, all right. I cracked him once more for good measure, watched him crumple against the wall. His hat rolled, coming to rest at my shoes. I kicked it down the hall, just because. Then I slipped back toward the noise of the club. The dame was gone from the booth, glass half empty, cigarette still smoking. My gut twisted. She either ran scared, or someone decided to collect her. Either way, the game had changed. At the bar, the second mob boy was waiting. His hand rested under his coat, eyes locked on me like he had me lined in sights. "Boss wants a chat," he said. His voice was gravel-dipped and whiskey. "Tell your boss I charge by the hour," I said, brushing past. His hand clamped my arm, iron tight. The crowd around us hushed, sensing the storm. I raised my Colt under the bar's shadow, pressed cold steel into his ribs. His grin faltered, sweat dotting his brow. "You don't want to make noise here, Morgan. I'll make noise wherever I want," I shot back, pushing harder. He released me, hand trembling as he stepped aside. The music tried to swallow the tension, but it couldn't. I pushed through the crowd, heading for the back door. The air in the club was poison now, thick with eyes and whispers. I needed fresh night air, even if it came with more trouble than I left behind. Outside, the rain hit hard, bouncing off the cobblestones like drumbeats. The alley was dark, but I wasn't alone. A Packard idled at the curb, headlights off, engine purring low. Shadows moved inside, waiting. My gut told me this wasn't coincidence. The mob had their claws deep, in this case, deeper than I thought. And the dame, wherever she'd gone, was tangled right in the middle. I didn't like how the pieces lined up. I lit another, lucky, flame shaking just a hair. Smoke curled up, mixing with the mist. I was still breathing, still standing, but Chicago had me in its jaws, and sooner or later, it was gonna bite down. I walked toward the mouth of the alley, hand on the Colt, ready for whatever beast waited. My shadow stretched long on the wet bricks, another ghost in the city's collection. Somewhere behind me, laughter echoed faint and cruel. This case was no longer just smoke and whispers. It was war dressed in pinstripes, and the first shot had already been fired. Chicago was bleeding, and I was standing on the vein.